welcome to our podcast. We are the Young Yappers. I am your host, Mason Flores, along with Mariana Aguilar, Ernaya Blanks, Malcolm Robinson. Malcolm, we know we're called the Young Yappers, but you're the oldest of us. You're the only one in his 20s. So you might be old. You might be a little old, bro.
4-year age gap isn't that old, bro.
You know?
And we all know this.
You know, depending on how Malcolm just perceived that joke, the whole conversation could have gotten flipped on its head because of that one joke I told and how Malcolm just perceived that joke. So how critical do you guys think perception is to a conversation?
I feel that perception is very critical to a conversation. One, I feel like if you don't know the person enough to crack a joke, then maybe don't crack the joke because you don't know how they react to jokes, you know?
Yeah.
So, one, definitely, you should know the person a little bit. Yeah, I'm just gonna start with that. Anybody wanna take over?
And piggybacking on what she said, like about the joke, like I know you.
Yeah.
I've known you for a year now.
Yeah.
And you always say I'm old, even though I'm only
Yeah.
4 years older than you guys
Yeah.
in the class. But it just depends, like how people see or like hear different things. Like just in the world, they can just take it wrong.
I think it's really about context too, to what your surroundings are and like you're talking to, because I think it's also, perception isn't just about like how you perceive things, but like how you think other people perceive things. I think that's another important part of a conversation, because I think there's also like flipping a switch depending on who you're around. So if I'm around a different group of friends, I know what jokes to say, I know how to enter a conversation, and then with other friends I know what not to say and what to say, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I think that's a part of it. Context is so important to perception, because if it's some random person who's telling you something, you're going to perceive it like less than someone you know telling you something.
Right, like,
you get
who
what I
are
mean?
you? Like, what are
Right.
you even saying right now?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think perception is so critical to a conversation because of understanding, and I think it's just so key to it because of knowing who you're around.
What do you think?
My way of thinking about that, I feel like, y'all pretty much said it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's really, you just don't want to come off saying something to a stranger and then you just don't know how they're going to intake that. I feel like it's just like, sometimes you have to watch it, but sometimes it just really happens to just say it and not really think about it. So I feel like it really does sometimes. You don't just know what the reaction of that person is going to be, pretty much. So.
No, according to Victoria Sambursky, she says perception shapes how we understand how others communicate and how we communicate. I think that quote basically shapes what I just said and what we've all just said, is that understanding is basically what perception is. So like, going back on the joke thing, if I'm watching a comedian on a Netflix show, like say I'm watching Kevin Hart's old 2015 specials,
That was real specific.
and because that's one of the best ones, but say he says a joke, and back when I was in third grade, I didn't understand it at all, but I thought it was funny because of the way his body was and like how he was. But I rewatched it, and I'm way older now. Now I understand it because of perception of what I perceive, how I perceive things way back then, and that's also due to maturity and how you grow up. I think that's another key thing to perception, is how mature and how developed are you as a person, because Malcolm is more developed than the three of us because he's older than us. So he might be on the more, he can probably perceive more things because of the wisdom and the oldness he has.
You just say
Honestly,
knowledge.
I don't know. You said since he's older than us, he
Sometimes
probably,
it's not the case,
right?
though.
You know, because it's people that's probably 16 right now, and they might be more mature than a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Like I'm 18, and I feel like I'm more mature than a lot of my cousins
Yeah, me
that's
too.
grown. You know.
I think it's
So-
about, it's not just about maturity, it's about different understandings, because obviously you have to know more things or have more experience in a certain thing than us because you're older. Like, no matter how we feel about how our opinion is towards someone who's 30 and we think they're less mature than us, their perception of different things would be higher than ours because of their growth as a human, you know what I mean? But sometimes it could not be the case. Sometimes you got to throw it out the window. And that's why perception, we all have different perceptions on how that works. We just said it like that. So I think that's a good way to also transition into conflict management. We just kind of disagreed right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to conflict management, I think that's the biggest part of maturity in who you are as a person, because the way you deal with conflict in a group situation or in just two people arguing is just shows you how much of a person you are. And I just we didn't have a conflict, but like,
Right.
say if we continued into the conflict,
Uh-huh.
I would have, I stopped it from becoming into a conflict by just like mediating it to
I
like
think you would have
meeting it.
been one.
I think I would have definitely turned
For
it.
real?
If I wanted to, I would have turned it to
There goes
one.
one.
I'm very like I listen for sure. I'm not gonna just
I think because the way I go into certain arguments, I want to have the argument.
Okay.
And I think that's important to knowing who you're talking to, like depending and the topic, because we're not going to get into politics, but like politically, say you're getting into an argument with someone politically, I don't want to get into that, but I do at the same time.
Right.
It's just that's such a serious topic that people usually aren't going to change their opinions off of like argument like that.
Yeah.
So why would I waste my energy on something like that? You get what I mean? So that in that sense, when I'm talking to someone like that, I would stop myself and be like, you know what? Let's just not talk about it. Malcolm, how do you feel about conflict management? About how, because you're a mellow guy, so you're not really necessarily gonna get into a heated argument with somebody shouting and stuff, but you might. I don't know. You might.
Yeah.
How do you normally deal with conflict?
So, heated argument, that only happens with my older sister.
Okay.
But before it gets to that point, but it usually always ends in a heated argument with her
Yeah.
for some reason. But like I like talk it out and like want to ask like, why are you acting like this?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it get resolved, sometimes it doesn't. But it just depends on who the person is you're talking to.
Yeah. I think some people like to just tone down the argument and not. But some people like me will just continue to argue just because they think they're so right. You know what I mean? But I do know when to not. You know what I mean? Like I said with the
There's a time and
political
place,
thing.
definitely.
Like, but if we're having like an argument about what's the best movie of all time, I'm gonna give my opinion. Or if it's sports, it's not that big of a deal. Like I'm gonna fight you. But like politically, when you're having an argument about that, like you can fight about something like that because people get so like amped up about that. You
I
know
don't
what I
even
mean?
think it should be that. I feel like it's two people.
It
giving
shouldn't,
their
but it
opinions,
could get
just
to that
like,
point.
You know,
But it should never get to the point like that ever with any argument. But it does. And it could, that's why it's so important with conflict management that's why there's so many different ways you can look at it. And like, how do you feel about it?
Well, from difference of here, I feel like the way I manage it, like when I'm getting in an argument or something, I don't really give the other person the chance to even speak. Like I just get into it. Like you already opened your mouth, I'm already gonna get into it. And then like I'll just give it a little while, and then I'll manage it. But like it's just as we said, like it's really about the difference of everybody, of how we take it. So it's really just that.
I got a story that this is probably one of the worst examples of how to deal with conflict. But I was in my sophomore year in high school in my first period class, and it was English, and there was these two dudes who, and let me give you context. I wasn't from where they were from, so I looked at them like, why are you acting at this certain way? And I'm not gonna say what they were and like how they were acting, but they acted a certain way where I knew that wasn't what their true identity was. And I said, why are you doing that? Just to make it more clean for the audience, you know. And they said I wasn't gonna do anything about it, and I said they're not gonna do anything about it. And then I was walking home because I just thought they weren't gonna do anything, and I was walking home, and I got jumped because of it, because I continued to push onto them that they were wrong, and then it wasn't right what they were doing, but it got me beat up for that reason. So sometimes so the point of that story is to know who you're talking to when it comes to arguments, and it's really the same thing with every aspect of communication, is knowing who you're talking to, knowing who your audience is, knowing who our audience is right now. So the people who are watching would be our classmates, our producer, our professor, Poff, and maybe if he publishes it, our audience would be maybe relatives of ours, if we told people that we run a podcast. People who watch the broadcast for sports broadcasting that we do in our sports broadcasting class because they just subscribe to it and they get the notifications. And maybe some people who are interested in this kind of topic. So like, there's always an audience no matter what.
Right.
And I think that's just what's so important to communication, because also communication isn't just in person. And conflict management isn't just an in-person thing. It could be an online thing. And online, I think online conflict management, I want to hear you guys' opinions on this. But so online conflict management, I think is a completely different thing than in person, because people can say whatever they want and not have any repercussions or anything like that.
And you don't know the person's tone.
Yep.
It's a lot, honestly.
Like, Malcolm, what do you think? Because this is when I was thinking of online conflict management, like, people can say whatever word they want. Like, say you're getting into a heated debate with someone on Twitter, right?
And then they block you.
Right.
You could just block somebody. I don't even want to hear it no more.
You can't even manage that.
Right. You can't.
You will get mad.
Like, but say you're getting into a heated argument on Twitter, right? And this dude's throwing out all kinds of slurs and stuff like that and saying whatever they want because they can hide behind the screen. They can't do that in real life.
Yeah.
How would you view? Would you just block them, or would you just just ignore it, or how would you? Because there's different ways.
I wouldn't get in that situation in the first place because I don't argue online.
Yeah.
But if it was to get to that, I'm just blocking them.
You think so? I think that's another way you can deal with conflict, is just
Honestly,
spacing yourself.
I've dealt with online conflict before, and I just got so tired of talking. I dropped the address. I said, pull up.
Oh wow.
I wanted that to turn into
into a fight, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes conflict can only be resolved when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because some things can get too far, and that at that time you can't just pull back. Yeah, sorry, we're good now.
I just said all of this. No.
But the thing with me is when it comes to conflict management in that kind of case where it gets violent, I think fighting with no weapons at all. Fighting and then just you're done, just boxing.
Right, that's it.
You box and then that's it, and then your beef's done. But some people will just think nah, if I lose, you're done.
Right. If somebody lose, now they want round 2.
Yeah, now you want to shoot some. That's why I try not to get to that point. But sometimes it has to. But that's why spacing yourself when you know there's going to be conflict is probably the best solution when it comes to conflict management. And I just think conflict is arguments are just such a crazy thing because there's so many ways it can happen.
Something so little can turn into a big argument.
Especially the kind of people are. I'm the type of person, if you say something that I have an opinion on, or even if I don't, I just want to argue, I'm going to argue it. Especially with basically anything. If it comes with artists, with with sports, Like I'm gonna argue because I enjoy arguing and I'm good at it. So like, I don't know. It's just something I enjoy, and
It's
that's
good,
pretty
you should
sick.
Be a lawyer.
I think I should do
Yeah.
this.
Right, you need
Yeah.
to change that. You need to be a lawyer.
No, I should do this because I like doing that. I'm cool off of arguing for people who just committed a crime. I'm cool off of that. I don't do that for the love of the game. I do sports arguing and music arguing for the love of the game. I don't do none of the. Yeah, my client did not kill that. No, I'm cool off of that. No thanks. I don't lie for money. Maybe I do. You never know. All right. What do you guys think of when you think of arguments? How often? Let's say this. How often do you guys get into arguments?
Every week for sure. Off rip every week.
No, I do not get in arguments.
Really?
Because like you see how I'm
Yeah.
me. I'm chill.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not raising my heart rate, my blood pressure for something so small. You feel me?
We get different.
Yeah, we all have
But a
different
person will take you there
perspectives
though.
of it.
Even though if I don't like arguing, I hate it honestly. But a person will take you there.
I love arguing.
Oh, that's
I hate
what
it.
I was
I
about
try
to
to
say
avoid
too,
it.
because
You like
I
arguing or
don't
no?
like arguing.
Right.
Nah, y'all-
And it's
Just
not even
like
that
that
deep.
back and forth.
But sometimes it's not even that deep. That's why, like, when you say that, like, man, I don't want to get my blood pressure. But it's like, I like, it's
Really?
Or
like
they
a
just
thrill.
like the fun for it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like a sport to me. Like,
Nah,
it's
just go exercise.
Like
if
let's
you
be
wanna do that.
happy.
it's like a roller coaster. It's like a roller coaster. It depends. It depends on what we're arguing about sometimes. But like, it's sometimes just the love of the game. Like when it comes to arguing, and sometimes the conflict, the resolution is
It makes
arguing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just arguing, and then like, because that's why debate shows are a thing. That's why podcasts are a thing, because some people just argue the whole podcast, and that's what we could do right now. But like,
people love to hear about, especially sports arguments.
right? That's
Like-
fun. That's
like
fun.
first
That's what I'm
take.
saying.
Even Stephen A. screaming all day.
And that's terror. Those are they are not good. Like they're good at they're good arguers, but like they don't have good takes. But I just think it's just such a fascinating way to get different perspectives, because you two don't like arguing. Us two, we like arguing.
But what I do believe that arguing does bring two people closer once they,
Yes,
you know,
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you get to talk about like why we were feeling that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I get into arguments every day.
For real.
Yes, about even the smallest stuff. And people probably hate me for that, but like, it's small things, and I view it like that. But people, when I get hype over arguments, I get hype over every argument. Like people take it so personally when I'm arguing with somebody because I'm getting hype, and like it seems like I'm taking it serious, but I'm not. But people then take
That
it serious,
perception.
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. Like perception. That's why these two topics. That's why we started with these two topics, because it links together. Basically, everything links together, because our next topic, problem solving in groups. We just explained how these last two concepts intertwine together. I think this last one does too, because say we're all in a group, right? We had to, and our problem was doing this assignment. Like we had to submit an outline, know what concepts we wanted to do, and then we have to execute right now, which is what we're doing. And when it comes to problem solving in groups, I think I want to hear you guys' opinion on this, but like when you have an issue, do you think it's better to do it yourself or do it with the group? Because I have like two different opinions on this.
It just depends on what the issue is, honestly. But what were you going to say about that? What was your opinion on it?
So I think when it comes to things like that, it does depend on the issue, but it also depends on the group. So say I'm in a group with like 3 slackers. Say you guys were all slackers, right? And you guys didn't want to do anything like of this project, and like didn't want to do it, and didn't want to participate, didn't come to class.
And then that's showing. I mean, of course.
That's a problem. Like that's a problem in itself. So that when you're in a group, you can also create more problems because you're of that group. But also, you could, depending on the group you're in, when it comes to different things, it could also just make the problem a lot easier, and just you guys solve it immediately because of the group you're in. But I think cooperation is such a huge thing when it comes to problem solving in groups, because you have to cooperate when you're in groups. You have to. And we had an assignment earlier like probably our first or second assignment is like what were good characteristics of a good group and what were bad. And we said for bad was not showing up, not taking accountability, and not communicating. And I think when it comes to problem solving, you have to communicate. And I think basically with everything, because even body language, you could tell when someone doesn't want to talk to you. And knowing when to give that space in a group and knowing that, oh yeah, we can do this for now, but you got to just chill out for a second. Like, especially when, say, let me put you guys in a hypothetical. Let me put you guys in a hypothetical. So, say you're in a group, right? And it's a huge, say you have to like solve that there's an asteroid about to come and hit Texas, right? just think about it right now.
So, right.
Think about getting the asteroid's about to hit Texas. You get put in a group to try and solve the issue of the asteroid, what you should do, how you should resolve it. Say you're put in a group of 6. Say 3 people say we should just blow it out of the sky, and then it would create multiple asteroids, and they would hit. And it would be smaller, but it would hit different cities. Or you let it just hit Texas, and then you take care of it then. So say 3 people. These 2 teams are split, right? How do you guys think that would go when it comes to solving that issue? Not just the specific. I just gave that hypothetical just to think about it because you're not going to say, oh yeah, I think we should let the asteroid hit Texas. We don't care about that. We care about how they cooperate. How do you think? Because they're going to argue, obviously, because it's the fate of Texas and like the United States. But the point of it is the why you're arguing and how you're going to do it. How do you think you would argue towards someone else in a group when you know you have the same problem?
1, they're going to have to communicate, of course. You have to communicate. 2, some people in that group, they're going to have to compromise. And yeah, you have to communicate, compromise.
I think compromise is a really good word.
What you think?
That's so crazy hypothetical.
That's not
Give something
we're
else,
not.
give something else.
No, but you're thinking of the asteroid.
Right.
We don't care about the asteroid. I just said it just to say it. Like, how are you? Okay, so let me give you a better one so you don't think about a giant asteroid hitting Texas.
Have y'all seen the movie?
Armageddon? No.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. It's decent. I like movies like that. But let me think. Okay. We have to say it's us four. Say it's us 4. And we're getting and our assignment is we have to make a top 10 artists of all time. We're not going to agree on all of the artists. But you said we're going to have to compromise regardless because we have to make a top 10 because we can't just say, "Oh yeah, we don't agree, Pop. We're not going to turn into assignments. We're going to turn in our own top 10." But no, he said make a top 10 together. How would we resolve that?
Oh yeah, we gotta communicate with each other because we're not gonna agree with some of them. Cause like
This guy, man.
bro,
No, I'm just playing.
yeah, cause like, for example, she likes Drake. I mean, Drake is cool, but like, if he would be in the top 10 artists, of
Because
all
we would
time-
have to be impartial at some points because me and Malcolm don't like him really like as much as you do. But we would also have
Top 10 though.
to that's what I'm saying. So we would also have to put aside our bias
Right.
for that problem. I
We're
think
still gonna have to rank them too, though.
I
so
think that's what I'm
the-
saying. When it comes to problems, like you have to put aside bias. And most of the times bias won't play as much of a factor when it comes to solving a problem. Because we're in a group and because we can't have a collective bias, you know what I mean? Sometimes you can, but like when we put in our top 10, it's not going to be biased. It's going to be more reliable than one singular person's top 10. That's why you would ask for some group's top 10 because as a collective, multiple people with different views of music, different views of different styles and stuff like that, we would all have to, and we would all agreed on a top 10, then people would think that's more reliable. You get what I mean?
Yep.
which is why problem solving in groups is so good when it comes to solving issues, because why would I want one person to solve something like that? I do want to hear opinions by one person, but if I hear opinion of a group, it also helps shape someone else's opinion. But what do you guys think is like the issues with having groups to solve a problem?
Honestly, I feel like the issues begin with people not listening, people like lacking those, active listening skills. And then I also feel like in groups, like you said, everybody has their own opinion, and then that turns into an argument, and then the argument might get heated. Now somebody in the group don't like this person because they got into that. It still isn't resolved. So yeah, it can go a lot of ways.
So conflict could be an issue.
Definitely.
So just and that comes down to percent. It's just like 3 different levels to it. What do you think is like a con to like
I feel like
groups?
it's really about just people, they don't understand. Sometimes like you could just say something and they just don't understand where your might be coming from, like what your own opinion is. So it just really builds off that.
So what might be a good thing of having one person instead of multiple to solve an issue?
Oh yeah, one person that wouldn't be good because, like you said, bias gets in the way.
Yeah.
And sometimes bias can be not dangerous, but like
Misleading.
unreliable.
And misleading,
Yeah.
because if we all had, think of your favorite family member, right? Right now. Think of your favorite family member,
Damn,
and or and you say for example, my grandma is my favorite family member, and I say, man, I got the best grandma in the world. That's bias because it's my grandma and I have that opinion because I know her. But what if someone's got a better grandma than me?
Or what
You
if
get what I
somebody
mean?
don't got a grandma?
Right.
Exactly. Right.
So that's why you would want groups, because then we'll be like,
And
what do y'all think
that
is
can
the
lead-
best kind of family member?
That
Like,
can lead into conflict.
you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, I think that's another issue with having one person when it comes to solving issues, because that bias and not understanding other opinions,
Right.
not understanding other views. So I think that's why you would have groups.
Yeah.
How are we feeling right now?
Feeling good.
Feel good.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody has to feel good. 'Cause-
Really?
Really.
No, I feel good though. For real. I'm like enjoying our conversation.
You got it?
I'm actually listening.
Because this could be a conflict too, because not everyone likes to talk in front of cameras and lights and people listening to us. I know some of y'all don't like talking in front of cameras.
Yeah.
I do. I'm fine with it. But that's because I have the most experience with the camera, but that's another conflict that us as a group had to solve.
Yeah.
We all had to come together. We all had to talk. We all had to give our opinions. We all had to laugh. And we all had to be natural. And that's what people want to see. People want to see authenticity. Yeah, thank you, Michael.
There we go.
But people want to see that. People don't want to see fake stuff. Yeah, I'm feeling good. No, be honest. Like, do you
No, I'm
guys?
really feeling good though.
You guys feel good?
Yeah.
Not nervous at all? Still not
I'm
nervous?
a
not
little bit,
nervous.
a little bit.
I'm not nervous
But
anymore.
like,
I feel good.
I got over it.
I think that's another
The more we talk,
big thing. Because I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview of what we're going to talk about next. Of what I'm going to talk about next when it comes to a bigger picture. Communication is so important to emotions, because if I was sad today, I would not be as what I am right now.
But perception is a thing because you got them glasses on. Somebody who watching might think you've been crying all day, eyes red. You know.
I might. Y'all want to take?
Perception.
We
Maybe
could
just
see.
putting on the front.
You know, I could be. That's why perception. That's what perception. Let's get back on perception. So out of the three, do you guys think perception is the most important?
For sure. Yeah.
Other than arguments,
I feel like because that
argument.
perception can lead to the conflict. You know.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I think so. I think perception is the most important, because perception is just a word, and we perceive perception. So like we're gonna think about it deep like that. When you're perceiving perception, what do you think perception means?
When I hear perception, I just think of like honestly, you should listen when somebody's speaking, and then like don't judge a book by its cover. You
Yeah.
know.
Get a
Yeah.
good understanding of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta
Listen before we listen. We don't judge. You know?
Yeah. I think that's good too because let's get on TikToks for a second. Everybody loves TikTok. And if you don't, you're lying. Don't say you didn't. Don't say you. Oh, I downloaded it because I had to. No, you downloaded it because you wanted to. Stop it. You wouldn't have it right now. So everybody loves TikTok to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
That's perception too. How you perceive media and how you make your opinions off of TikToks and media and stuff like that. So when you see someone dancing in a camera, how do you perceive that?
Oh, that annoys me.
It depends on the song that's playing. And
I
what
like
dance you're doing.
dancing in front of. I like the dancers.
Nah, the TikTok dancers, they annoy
See,
me.
that's different
Honestly, I be doing the
perceptions
little
of
dances.
it. That's different perceptions right there. Do you?
I feel like it's as we've said, like I feel like it's depending, cause like
Yeah.
what are
Right.
they doing in front of that
Okay.
guy?
Right, because I'm not gonna like do something that
Like,
somebody
if
else
it's
doing.
somebody-
I'm not
like-
saying you have to do it. I'm
Right.
saying like someone else doing like dancing.
Yeah.
Just dancing in general. Like you don't like the dancing in front of in the TikTok.
It's kind of
No, I'm saying I do it, but like it just depends on what song, what dance, you know.
But you like dancing
Yeah,
on the TikToks.
I like dancing.
Well,
I
you
do.
don't have to dance. I'm saying, do you like watching people dance on the
Yeah.
TikToks? Okay.
I do.
You don't.
no.
Do you?
I do.
You
Yeah,
do.
I do.
Okay.
I enjoy it.
I do too. So Malcolm, why do you not?
I mean, it's just kind of cringe dancing in
I
front
can
of
see
the camera.
that. I can see that.
So like
I can see that.
Like,
But what if I'm getting like, yo, that song is fire. I like watching
it
that.
depends on the dance. Like, I could watch Bay Area dances. And
if
stuff
somebody
like
hitting the
that.
Dougie or the sneeze, like you, it's bad.
That's fine.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's
Okay,
fine.
so it's a,
Yeah,
it's a, okay.
But I think you're thinking of like some like
I'm thinking like
on some
He's
renegade
going like
stuff.
beyond.
Yeah.
Like,
He's thinking about the renegade. Like if you watching someone do the renegade, that's you're cool
Right.
off of that.
Yeah, no.
I think some of those dances could be creative though. Like they just making their own stuff or stealing it. Like
Mostly
Well-
stealing
okay. What about how if y'all were to see a sports TikTok, are you scrolling immediately?
It do got a title on it,
I mean,
or I just see like
TikTok.
Hoopers.
Like if you see, so say someone's talking about NBA,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's like they're on the green screen behind them, and there's like LeBron on it, and they're about to go and talk about LeBron the whole time. Are you
All
scrolling?
the time. I might watch it for a little bit, and then like as soon as it get bored of me, I'm scrolling.
Wait,
I'll
you
be
scrolling?
honest, I just like.
Okay.
It's
See,
I'm not
you would
interested,
probably
I'm
watch,
not-
right?
Yeah.
I'm watching too. So that's what I'm saying. Perception is also why we got the TikTok. for
Like,
you
don't
page.
judge a book by its cover. As I was saying, like I'm not gonna just scroll the video.
Sometimes-
Like, I'm gonna watch a little bit, like you know,
No, sometimes I do scroll. Though.
for real.
Yeah.
If
Depending on
it's
what it
just
is.
something you don't like or you just don't.
Or you know it's gonna be
know?
something stinky, bro.
Just
Like, it's
avoid
just,
Honestly, though,
like-
my for you page, I don't see basketball on mine.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's why-
Sports,
it's
so
really
it's
just.
well, that's
catered to
because
me,
when you
yeah.
like certain stuff, it's gonna
Yeah.
keep on your algorithm,
Yeah.
which is they know what you like to perceive.
Mm-hmm.
Perception. Well, what if we could argue about this too? Like, let's get back to conflict though. So what is the best app? Like in general on
The
on
best
your phone.
app?
Yeah, on your phone.
On my phone,
Yeah. It's TikTok.
Nah, it's Instagram.
I'm gonna go TikTok.
It's
I
not
was gonna
Instagram.
say,
Instagram.
wait.
No, it's
like,
not.
at
It's
the
not
same
Instagram.
time,
I'm gonna go
It's really
TikTok.
TikTok.
I'm gonna go
It's
TikTok.
not Instagram. The reels aren't good enough. The posts
wait,
aren't
wait,
good
think
enough.
It's either TikTok or X.
No.
TikTok or X.
No.
'cause
I'm calling it Twitter.
I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie. X, I ain't gonna lie,
Yeah.
'cause you calling it Twitter?
I call it Twitter. So
It's still Twitter. But no, but think about it. When
I
you
respect
meet,
you, though,
When you meet
'cause that's-
somebody,
Yeah.
when like you meet somebody for the first time, you introduce yourself. You say, "Hey, what's your TikTok?" no. You say,
But that's
"Yes."
not what
No,
I mean.
You're gonna ask for the number. You're not even gonna ask for that.
Okay,
Don't
so
ask
that
for
was
the
your
number, like-
perception
Ask
of
for
my
the number on
question.
Instagram. You ask for
My
the
question
number
is
on
just the
Instagram.
app itself, because I could care less about the personal like attachments on TikTok, but I could care a little bit on Instagram. But why are we caring about that on social media in general? You get what I mean? Like, why am I asking? Let me get your number instead of Instagram. But sometimes it'd be like, no, I'll just give you all my
Right, yeah,
Instagrams.
some
I don't
people
give you
do.
no. I don't give my number out. But I think TikTok's got to be number one because of the media. it's way better than Reels. Instagram Reels are just you just.
You know, a lot of the
It
stuff
is.
that's on TikTok, they reposted on Instagram anyway.
But you're not gonna get that when you're just when I press on the Reels tab. You know what I'm gonna get? I'm gonna get people getting ran over by cars, or someone trying to sell something.
For real?
Yes, on Instagram Reels.
Really?
Yes, that's
But
it's a
the same
crazy
content.
thing.
It's really just the same content sometimes.
Mine be like.
But on
poking
TikTok, I'm getting like sports talk. I'm
Yeah,
getting
it's something
like
more of what you
like music.
Yeah.
But Reels, it's
I
like
feel like my
random.
TikTok and my Instagram reels go hand in hand.
Mine don't.
Really?
I don't.
Mine
know.
do.
I don't know why. I don't know, cause I like the same stuff. I like I like sports and I like music. Like that's basically like what I like. I'm a nerd too, so I like comic books.
Yeah.
I like TV shows. I like movies, and I think when it comes to perception, it's just everyone has different levels to it. Like you wouldn't even think about perception like until this class. Like, have you ever thought of the word perception?
No. I haven't thought of the word perception, but like I have thought of opinions, which goes hand in hand, you know?
Like understanding.
Yeah.
So, I think we had a great conversation today.
Yeah.
I did think our
Yeah, I think so,
conversation was
too.
great.
I hope you guys enjoyed
I
because
hope so too.
we're the young yappers, you know?
Yeah.
Except that guy. No, I'm just kidding. He's still a young yapper. Thank you. I've been your host. This is Mason Flores, Mariana, Malcolm, Ernaya. Thank you for watching. We were on the Solano studio. This is a great studio. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ryan.
We out, bro.
College just got affordable. Up to 100% of enrollment fees can be reimbursed for first-time college students taking full-time classes. At Solano Community College, we are taking full advantage of this to further your future. With certificate and degree programs in industrial technology, aeronautics, biotechnology, and many others, Solano Community College is a staple for success. For more information, please contact the Financial Aid Office at 707-864-7000.